Well, look at that. You got just me. How about this? Yeah, it's better. Hey, guys, it's been a couple weeks. Welcome to Tiger Talks Wrestling. Tony here, and joined by the almighty Shazam today.
Oh, yeah.
A lot to talk about tonight. So we're not going to waste it. Of course, last time I had you on here, let's see what was going on. It was right after, it was right before Revolution, AEW Revolution. So a lot's happened in AEW since then, and WWE for that matter. We'll go right in. We'll dive into all of it from the last 2 weeks here. Kind of quick run through last week's shows, and then talk a little more at length probably about this week's shows when we get to them. Let's start with Raw from last week, 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow it'll be the March 13th episode from Providence, Rhode Island. We started with the Rated R superstar Edge, who comes out and calls out Finn Balor, wants Finn to come out and meet him face to face. However, of course, Finn doesn't come out alone. Even though Edge wanted him alone, the Judgment Day has to follow. The two bicker back and forth a little bit. Edge mentions how he's wasted the last year on the Judgment Day. And that his time's running up, so he doesn't have any more time pretty much to give towards the Judgment Day. He wants to finish this at WrestleMania. He accepts Finn Balor's challenge, but with a little twist, because it's not going to be just one-on-one, it's going to be inside hell in a cell.
About damn time.
Right? Which Finn mentioned, you haven't met my demons yet. So we know where that's going. Then Judgment Day started to head towards the ring, but Johnny Gargano, Dexter Lumis, and Candice LeRae come out there, and we get a brawl between all of them, leading into Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest facing Dexter Lumis and Johnny Gargano in a tag team match. Not a whole lot really to mention about that match other than the fact that Judgment Day did pick up the win. I've still been pretty impressed by Johnny Gargano's work since Elimination Chamber compared to things before that. It was unusual here. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I mean, this is definitely a better and more entertaining Johnny Gargano since the Chamber match. I mean, he's finally getting that recognition he deserves.
I agree. I mean, the thing that kind of stuck out the most to me here was the fact that it was Damian Priest getting the win, because Dominic's been getting the wins for the most part lately, and Dexter Lumis was the one that took the fall, which I think, without looking back for sure, I think this is the first time Dexter Lumis has been pinned since he showed up on the main roster. First or second. It might be second. Miz might have beat him once.
I
can't remember
I think it might actually be the first, because I don't know if Miz actually ever pinned him.
Yeah, Miz just beat him in the ladder match.
Yeah.
I think that was the only time Miz beat him. So, yeah. Which, like I said, was very interesting to see that be the outcome and not see... I was happy not to see Johnny take the pinfall there.
Right.
Of course, towards the end of it, Rhea tried to get involved. Candice tried to intervene, but Candice got taken out for intervention, so as to speak, by Rhea. So we'll get into more of that later. So after that match, we see Kathy Kelly talked a little bit with Miz and Chad Gable, but the main part of that was Damage Control, Trish Stratus earlier in the show, or earlier in the day, where Becky and Lita were. Who knows? But Trish got ambushed. We go to the VIP lounge MVP and Omos have Brock Lesnar out there. This was a terrible promo, in my opinion, between these two guys. I mean, the best part of the whole thing was seeing Omos putting that giant hand of his fist up against Brock Lesnar's face. But
not to mention, Lesnar kind of had that scared look on him too, like back when he was in the Rumble and Keith Lee came out. Was that same look?
Oh yeah, that we did get. The whole storyline for this match and the whole lead up to it's just been shit to me. Okay, obviously, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm hoping that we get a swerve out of it. There's been rumors that there could be a swerve, and it's not going to end up being Brock versus Omos. He might get a different opponent, but we'll see. I mean, we'll get into what's going down this upcoming week on Raw between those two eventually. So the fact that Omos did send Brock Lesnar over the top rope here was supposed to be the big thing, but they botched that even, so it was crap. Cody Rhodes had a match with L.A. Knight.
Yeah!
Another classic match from Cody. I feel like Cody's been one of the bright spots since he's returned to WWE, and one of those times that you know you're going to get a really good match to great match on the card if you see Cody in a match. I don't believe these two ever met anywhere else. I know they build this as the first time in WWE, but this might have been the first time ever, period, that these two guys have wrestled. I won't swear to it, but
yeah.
But it was a really good match, and Cody did pick up the win, of course, with the Crossroads, keeping his undefeated streak going. He delivered a promo that he would be on SmackDown because of Roman Reigns being there to confront the Tribal Chief. We got that. Yeah, none of that matters. Elias Bronson Reed in your additional squash match. The previous week, Rick Boogs eventually getting Elias this match when Elias was trying to get Rick Boogs to challenge Bronson Reed. Nice to see Bronson Reed getting this momentum going still. That tsunami, nowhere near as good as Wade Barrett, is a great move for him, but I hate seeing how far down Elias's stock keeps going every week, it seems like. But
they just need to bring Zeke back.
Maybe we do need to just speak with Zeke. Because Zeke was winning. Elias is losing again.
Yep.
None of that matters. And the next match we get into, you got Austin Theory versus one half of the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins, off of a backstage segment they had. Before I get into that match too much, since you weren't on here and you missed it, what'd you think of the whole John Cena Austin Theory promo from the week before on Raw?
You know, I think it was the first time I was actually excited to see Theory on TV.
Well,
I'm not a Cena fan either, but Cena's promo skills are through the roof, and it just brought a more aggressive side of Theory. And I love the whole not going anywhere like that bald spot on your head.
Right?
It was probably one of the best promos I've seen in a while, and I'm really looking forward to this match.
Which we'll have some news on that match when we get into SmackDown from this week later on, but that's later. Yeah, off that whole promo, I mean, Cena kind of destroyed Theory for the most part in that promo.
Yeah.
Theory got that one good shot in, but Theory and Dawkins end up with a match. The backstage segment was them two talking about the whole Cena and Theory match coming up, and Theory mentioning how Street Profits didn't have a match at WrestleMania, which later in this week we'd get a match for. We'll get into. Theory and Dawkins had a decent match here, I would say. I think we've seen better from Angelo Dawkins over the last couple months, though, than what we've seen here for him against Theory, personally. But Austin Theory picks up the win. After the match, though, he not done yet. He hooks in an STF of all moves on Angelo Dawkins, only releasing it once Montez Ford comes out. So little jab at Cena there, of course, from Theory, who, as he's walking away, does the "you can't see me" to Montez Ford.
I wish it was that true.
You would. All right. And I'm going to mention the whole Paul Heyman thing. Since you weren't here and they mentioned that and they re-showed it here, Rey Mysterio, the first inductee for this year's Hall of Fame. What's your thoughts of that?
About damn time that the littlest underdog in the company gets that big moment.
Right. I agree. We got a lot more, of course, about that coming up, but I was surprised to see Rey be announced as the first inductee for the Hall of Fame. I mean, I think like everybody, we figured Batista would be, but from what I'm hearing now, he might not be going in this year. So I'm surprised they've only got 3 people right now when we're at WrestleMania week, technically. So we'll see where it goes. Rey and Dom had a little segment in ring. Dom trying to get Rey to fight him. More on that later. Nothing happened there, though. Rey just walked away. They did more with Becky and Lita and Trish backstage a couple different times, but nothing worth mentioning. What did you think of the whole, since they showed it for the first time there, John Cena / Rhea Ripley Stranger Things vignette in WrestleMania?
You know, I liked it. I honestly, I really like that one, but it's not my favorite. My favorite will always
it's
be.
Not mine.
Huh?
I said it's not mine either.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it better than the Top Gun one.
Yeah, I did too.
But nothing beats Seth freaking Rollins being the Joker, and then because I'm the man.
Right. This came pretty close though, which we'll get into. But it was interesting to have Cena be the one to do the voiceover part of that, and for it being Rhea Ripley in there. What I thought on that one.
Yeah.
Show the coverage of Backlash coming May 6th in San Juan, Puerto Rico, which will be hosted by Bad Bunny, who's from San Juan. Then we got Baron Corbin versus Seth freaking Rollins with the Miz on commentary. Corbin actually attacked Rollins before the match, but this match, not a whole lot to talk about. It was kind of a quick match as Corbin keeps losing as well. Like I mentioned, Elias has been. Corbin eats a stomp. Miz, gets beat up a little bit too, but Rollins gets the win, keeps his momentum going towards WrestleMania. Yeah, after that, you get a little Maximum Male Models and Alpha Academy thing, and I'm not even going to go into that because that's pointless.
Can I say one word about that?
Go for it.
Otis.
I knew that was the word. We might get into more of that when we get to this week's Raw. Then we go Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair faces Chelsea Green with Carmella in her corner. I thought this was actually a pretty good match.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I expected it to be a squash match, but there was actually a good story being told in the match, so I enjoyed it.
Yes. Of course, I mean, in the end, Bianca hits the KOD even after Carmella tries getting involved a couple different times. They kind of got thwarted. 1, 2, 3. Win for Bianca, and then Chelsea and Carmella, of course, beat up on Bianca until Asuka comes out and makes a save. And more strange things happen as Asuka dances around the ring with the Raw Women's Championship.
I will say this is my favorite Asuka. This Kana version is. Yeah. I've never been so much of a fan of Asuka before until now, and it's amazing.
It is really good. Although the storyline leading up to their match at WrestleMania is not the greatest, but
no, it's not the greatest at all.
But that's the same for both women's title matches, I feel like.
Well, I feel like there's more of a redemption story with Rhea and Charlotte. But I mean, with Asuka and Bianca, there's not really any story to build up on it. It's just showing that Asuka can't win being Asuka. She's got to bring out this whole new personality to show people she can win at Mania. She can dethrone Bianca, who hasn't lost yet at Mania.
Right.
That's about the only story that they got going with that match.
I mean, they got a little bit more going with it when we get to this past week's Raw, but
I mean, I didn't want to jump too far ahead.
Right. So then we go from there. Early in the night, we talked to Kevin Owens, and KO said he wanted to do this alone because he's got the street fight with Solo Sikoa here in the main event. Told Cody he didn't want him getting involved. He doesn't want Sammy anywhere near. And this was a pretty good street fight, though it was rather short, to be honest. It felt like they just were running really tight on time for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know if something went over during the show or what, but eventually at the end, KO's beating up Solo and they're heading towards gorilla position and get back there, and KO runs into a double super kick from the Usos, of course. They drag Kevin back out to the ring. KO eats a Samoan spike. 1, 2, 3. Solo Sikoa wins. Him and the Usos celebrate to end Raw. What was your take on that whole street fight?
I mean, it was a good street fight for what they had in store. It was rushed, but they had to make something go, and you kind of knew the predictableness of it when they started heading towards the backstage. You knew the Usos were going to be there.
Right.
And, I mean, it ended up being your typical Bloodline's got to gang up on everyone match. And other than that, it was, like I said, for the shortness of the match, it was pretty decent, and it had its spots.
It did. I mean, Solo's still undefeated, too, which we'll get more into that later, too. And we'll move on from there. Did you want to give Raw a rating or not worry about it for that, Raw?
I mean, I'd give it about a 5 out of 10.
Yeah. Say 5.5 or 6-ish. Somewhere in there.
It should have been much better with it being this close to Mania.
I agree. All right. Moving on to quick little NXTs. Like I mentioned before, I don't write down promos, so if there's anything that pops in my head, then I'll mention it, but we'll get to it. They start the show with Gallus defending the NXT tag team titles against Pretty Deadly. A really good tag team match to start off the show. But as you would figure, Gallus picked up the win.
I can't with Pretty Deadly.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of them, honestly, either. But I mean, later in the show, they did find out that they're going to have something special to do with Stand and Deliver.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be the hosts of Stand and Deliver, which I will say it is a little bit entertaining seeing their little Stand and Deliver poses, but let's see where things go from there. After that, you got... Okay, so before I go into the match, I do have to mention this. The week before was the main event was the women's championship match between Meiko Satomura and Roxanne Perez.
Yes.
What happened at the end of that match, or after the match, I should say, Roxanne Perez passing out from all the kicks to the head pretty much that she took. This is partially storyline, and it's partially not storyline from what I'm reading.
Yeah.
there is something wrong with Roxanne Perez that they don't know exactly what's going on. Rumor has it that she is actually cleared now, but storyline wise, they're saying they don't know anything, and it's not looking like she's going to be good to go at Stand and Deliver.
Right.
Other rumors instead say that she may still be part of the Stand and Deliver match. That being said, as of right now, though, NXT is promoting a ladder match for Stand and Deliver to determine potentially a new NXT Women's Champion. Leading to this qualifying match for that said match, you got Sol Ruka going one-on-one with Zoe Stark, which was a rematch from 3 or 4 weeks before that. I like Sol Ruka for the most part. I like her look. I like how she does in the ring. That finisher's amazing. Something just doesn't feel like it clicks quite with Zoe Stark, though, and her, though. That, to me, anyways. I don't know about other people, but this match just didn't feel like. I'm sure you do.
And you know exactly why.
Because she turned on your girl.
Yeah, how dare she? How dare she do that to my girl?
Speaking of, how many times have you played as Nikita Lyons in 2K22?
I actually don't have the game yet, but as soon as I do, it'll be the first person I play as.
Same. Anyhow, Zoe Stark, I will say the finish to this match was incredible. I wasn't a huge fan of the match itself, but Zoe countering pretty much, I don't remember what the move exactly was that Sol Ruka was going for. I know it wasn't her finish. The springboard move of some sort, and Zoe countering it into the GTS pretty much, or her version of it. But that was great. Zoe gets the win and is the first to qualify for the ladder match at Stand and Deliver. Then we go into a triple threat match to determine the number one contenders for the women's tag team titles. You got Elba Fire and Isla Dawn facing Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, and Tatum Paxley and Ivy Nile. This was another kind of a mess of a match. Didn't keep my attention that well, to be honest. The main storyline you get out of this, though, is Tatum Paxley turned her back on Ivy Nile and Diamond Mine, left Ivy to the wolves, so as to speak. Elba Fire and Isla Dawn were able to take her out after Kaden and Katana had been taken out as well. Elba Fire pins Ivy Nile. Elba Fire and Isla Dawn will go on to challenge for the women's tag team titles at Stand and Deliver. There's that. Not a fan?
No, I mean, I just feel like it's kind of obvious that they're going to win the titles.
I'd agree.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The makeshift champions, as I'm just going to call them that, because they suck.
Wow.
They're just transitional champions. So I mean, it makes perfect sense. Oh, let's take the titles off Chance and
Carter.
Yeah, Carter. I can never remember her name. But take titles off them. They put them in a triple threat match. They don't get pinned or nothing. They end up pinning Ivy and Nile, and it's like it's all good.
So my thing for that is at least Elba Fire and Isla Dawn are an actual tag team that get us along. So I'm kind of okay with it. But I mean, I see your point on the whole. Why take the titles off of Kaden and Katana just to hot potato it to Isla and Elba instead of having Kaden and Katana drop it to Elba and Isla?
Yeah, I think that'd be a much better match too.
I feel like it would have been too. Instead of I'm trying to think of their names now. Fallon Henley and
Kiana James.
Yeah, Kiana James. Who's been apparently cheating on Brooks Jensen, and that's a whole soap opera mess itself. So I don't even try to go into that too much. Anywho, Apollo Crews then would face Dabba-Kato, looking for revenge after Dabba-Kato attacked him after the North American title match that he had. Or sorry, the match against Carmelo Hayes that he had. I don't know.
Close enough.
These two I felt like had a really good match on this episode of NXT though. The finish was kind of but but I kind of figured it was coming that Dabba-Kato was going to pick up the win. But it was really good leading up to it, and some of the spots, they had some good spots in there. Both guys did.
And I also feel like the best thing they could have done for Dabba-Kato is, one, changing his name from Commander Aziz, because that was so bad. And then bringing him back to NXT to kind of rebuild and retool. And I think it's going to be better in the long run for him.
You know, I didn't realize this until I seen it yesterday, I think, on social media. Apollo Crews has been with WWE for like 6 or 7 years now already.
Yeah.
He had Cody Rhodes' last match on SmackDown back 6 years ago when he was Stardust. I was like, holy shit, Apollo's been there that long?
Yep.
He's been on all 3 brands too, and I mean this is his second stint on NXT. But
he's been on all 4 brands: NXT and NXT 2.0.
Oh, okay. I guess we gotta count them both ways. Sure. Anywho, then the next match was Kiana James in a qualifying match for the Women's Championship ladder match at Stand and Deliver, going up against one of your other girls.
GG.
Yes, GG Dolan. Again, you can tell Kiana James is kind of learning the ropes still here, I felt like. GG a little bit too, but not as much. GG gets the win. That's the main thing to take out of it. She goes on to Stand and Deliver. We get more storyline between Kiana James and Fallon Henley out of that. It doesn't matter. Then, that was the last match of the show, but we got to talk about what happened at the end of the show. Pretty Deadly comes back out to host the contract signing between Carmelo Hayes and Bron Breakker for the NXT Championship match at Stand and Deliver. These two guys, Bron and Carmelo, actually threw out compliments to each other for the most part of this promo. It went pretty smoothly, much to the chagrin of Pretty Deadly, who kept trying to poke the bears, so to speak, throughout.
I believe the exact words, "We need drama. Where's the drama?"
Yes. Well, they got their drama because they both got their asses put through the table by Carmelo Hayes and Bron Breakker.
You gotta say it right, though, because they're the host. So let me tell you, Melo and Bron stood up and delivered them right to that table.
Nice. That is true. That is very true. To be honest, I would say this episode of NXT was kind of a little bit lackluster for, again, as we mentioned, for Raw, on the road to WrestleMania, NXT on the road to Stand and Deliver, their biggest show of the year. They built a lot towards it, but still, I probably would say this would be, for me, if I was to rate it, probably around the same as what Raw was. From what you said, I'd give it maybe a 5.
Yeah, I didn't agree with that. I dropped to a 5.
Yeah. All right. Move on to a little bit of Dynamite, shall we? So, Dynamite kicks off with MJF's Bar Mitzvah as he comes out with, I know, right? Comes out with 4 ladies. It's a good thing they've mentioned over the last few weeks how his fiance left him, considering the kiss he gave the one girl right there. But it was interesting, the whole bar mitzvah thing before it got interrupted. I mean, having the people come out and dancing around MJF and having him up on a chair and all that stuff that you'd usually see in a bar mitzvah. But then Jungle Boy, Jack Perry's music hits and he comes out to interrupt MJF. But he's not alone because After Perry, Jack comes out. Mr. Awesome, before I go in too far, Mr. Awesome in the comment section says MJF can't even enjoy himself. It's my sad face. He's right.
I mean, he is right.
He is. And after Jack's out there, you get the Spanish God, Sammy Guevara, coming out. And then after Sammy gets out to the ring, before he can say much anything, Darby Allin comes out. MJF wants to know what they all want, and in unison, all three say, "We want a title shot." So, I will say this was a really good promo from those three guys, and gotta mention these are the four pillars, as they've been referred to, of AEW. So this is interesting where this whole thing's going to go to, I have a feeling. But they all got some pretty good digs in here against each other. Darby Allin, a lot of people on social media, if you check it out, not fans of what some of the things Darby Allin had to mention, how superstars are wanting out of their contracts out of AEW, but it is what it is.
I mean, that was a personal dig right at MJF.
Yeah, it was. But there's a bunch of other people that he kind of pulled into that too. So, but nonetheless, all three of them really, Jack Perry, Sammy Guevara, and Darby Allin, gave good reasons as to why they should be getting a title shot, I felt like, in here. And MJF, of course, trying to blow things back in their faces too, which MJF does the best. But
I like what you said to Sammy.
What's that?
About in 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks or months, you have a new girl or something like that.
Yeah. That was a pretty good dig. I mean, he did propose to his one girlfriend, and then not too long after ended up with a different fiance. So it was a good dig. Anyway, out of all that, we end up with a brawl between these four, and poor MJF gets knocked off the ring apron onto his own cake outside the ring. Much deserved, but
best moment.
Yes, that was great. It was probably, in my opinion, the best opening segment we've had on Dynamite probably all year, to be honest. In my opinion.
I'd say so, yeah.
This show was in Winnipeg, so they did show that Chris Jericho got special treatment in Winnipeg over the couple days leading up to the show. Even got his own key, I believe, and all that fun jazz. But from there, they didn't go into a Jericho Appreciation Society match because Jericho's in the main event, as we'll get into. We get the six-man trios match. You get the BCC, Blackpool Combat Club, against Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, and Hangman Adam Page. Very physical match, as you'd figure. Jericho need to go back to Toronto. Sure he does, Mr. Awesome. He'll probably get like anyway, it was nice to see Stu Grayson back in AEW. We'll get more into that in a little bit. But in the end, it was Stu Grayson who would actually be choked out by Jon Moxley to get the win for the Blackpool Combat Club. Anything specific that you want to mention from that match or remember from the match before we get in? I know they brawled again after the match.
I mean, nothing that really jumps out as insanely cool that happened.
Right. All right. So then after the match, Moxley's still going after Stu. You get Evil Uno comes in and try to save it. Claudio and Wheeler stop him. Alex Reynolds and John Silver come from the back to try and break things up as well. And that was pretty much the end of that brawl. We got a Juice Robinson video where he talks about how he had attacked Ricky Starks, from behind the week before. And then we get the sleeper of the night. Jade Cargill defending her TBS championship in a very short match. Who? Jade.
Never heard of him.
Beating Nicole Madsen. Yeah, I know. I agree. The only good thing that happened was what we seen happen after the match. Renee goes in the ring to talk to Jade, and Jade tries pushing Renee around and saying, "Oh, this is the best that Canada's got." While we get some music playing, and you get the entrance of Miss Taya Valkyrie making her debut in Impact, yeah, sure, Dynamite in AEW. Former Impact Wrestling Women's Champion. I know there was rumors of her popping up, but there was also rumors that she might go back to WWE, so I was a little bit surprised to see her there. I'll be more happy to see her there if they actually let her take the title off of Jade, because I am still so sick and tired of Jade being undefeated and being the champion when she can't do shit, to be honest, in the ring.
She probably complains that she'll quit every week if they have her lose.
Possibly. From there, yeah, we'll skip the Ricky Starks backstage segment. You get the AEW, used to be All Atlantic, now International Championship match, as Orange Cassidy defends against Jeff Jarrett. Satnam Singh and Sanjay Dutt are out there. You get all kinds of shenanigans again. Aubrey Edwards involved. Hey, we got Buster Boy in the chat session saying, "Oh yeah, good for him." In the end, Orange Cassidy beats Jeff Jarrett. That's the main thing that happens there. Even after a ref bump and everybody else getting involved. Jay Levin coming out and hitting him with the not Grammy, but the Golden Globe. So much to say about that international title being changed. I actually think it might be a good thing that they're calling it international instead of the All Atlantic, but we'll see. It was an upgrade, supposedly. That's what they call it anyway. Legit the same as the Intercontinental title, just another word. Well, that is their Intercontinental title, so it makes sense. Anyway. I'm not a huge fan of Orange Cassidy, as I've mentioned on here many, many times. His character, I guess. Hey, I'm being honest here. I'm not a huge fan of the lackadaisical crap. I will say his whole gimmick or persona, I'm not a huge fan of. He is really good in the ring when he actually is serious and wants to compete. But I'm not a huge fan of the whole, I'm going to kind of kick you, kind of kick you, kind of kick you. Just that. Yeah, not a fan of that. Yeah.
Forgot the most important part.
Yeah, the hands in the pocket. Never been a huge fan of that. Still not. I kind of wanted to see Jeff Jarrett win the title here. Don't kill me, but I did. Just like I know some other people on social media wanted to, but
I didn't.
I figured that much. But anyway, okay match. Orange retains. Go on from there. They do more for the rivalry between the Outcasts and Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter and Riho and Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale get involved in it. Yada, yada, yada. 2.0 is trying to recruit the Acclaimed into Jericho Appreciation Society. And then we get the main event. There was only 4 matches on Dynamite that week. And they gave a lot of time to this main event, and it was deservedly so, in my opinion. You got the Elite versus the Jericho Appreciation Society's Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara.
There's the comments going. There's the Elite.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. Against the House of Black for the World Trios Championships. Mr. Awesome says, nobody cares about the AEW women segments. He's not completely wrong. I mean, I'm a little more
interested. They have segments?
Yeah. A segment, not segments. A segment. Technically 2. I mean, Jade had a match, so there's 2 segments, and she got a segment with Taya debuting. So I guess there's 2 segments. So,
who are we talking about?
The TBS champion.
Never heard of it. What?
Anywho, back to the main event match. Very chaotic, but I felt like they gave great spots to everybody involved in this match, really. The ref lost all control, as usual. And in the end, the House of Black was able to retain the tag titles, World Trios titles. When Buddy Matthews pinned Daniel Garcia. Off of that, I will mention something when we get to Rampage that I found out about just yesterday. During that match, though, they showed Adam Page, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver brawling with the Blackpool Combat Club in the back. And after the match was over, Jake Hager, the House of Black, the Jericho Appreciation Society, all were fighting in the ring. Out came Hangman, Reynolds, Silver, BCC. You get a brawl with all those guys. The main thing here, though, was Hangman Adam Page ends up in the ring, and the Blackpool Combat Club gets away from Reynolds and Silver, and they're coming up in 3-on-1. It looks like it's going to be in the ring, but instead, the Elite pops up behind Hangman in the ring, and the Blackpool Combat Club leaves. Quite the moment that we had there. I mean, it faded to black really too quickly there, I felt like, but interesting to see the Elite, all 4 members of the Elite, kind of have a little bit of I wouldn't say a reunion really of sorts yet, but interaction for the first time in quite a while anyways there. Mr. Awesome mentioning, I can't name one person who's ever come to me, quote, wow, AEW's division is great because of blank, unquote. Yeah, well, I'll mention there's only been one person in the AEW women's division that I've ever really cared about until recently. And I think a lot of people probably would agree with that. And that is Dr. Britt Baker. So
DMD.
But even when can you name any great matches that she had, really?
Not off my head. Oh, God.
Well, which is kind of true.
Oh, that's one way to put it.
Golden-headed member. Yeah. All right. So, the Montreal debut of Dynamite, what would you rate that?
I give that probably a 6.5.
I was gonna say I'd probably be right around there, 6.5, probably as well. It would have been a little bit higher, except for that not needed TBS title match and
what?
Yeah, and some other crap that they had segment wise that wasn't needed. But we'll move on to, I think, something that we'll both probably be happy with. To the St. Patrick's Day edition of Friday Night SmackDown, where we kick off with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, coming out. Cody wants to talk to Kevin Owens. So we're starting off the show with 2 Raw guys, mind you. As I see there's another comment there. If I get too far into this, I better read that. Mr. Awesome says, I find it amusing both sides of the fence are running these same arenas at the same time. Cali to Canada to blank. Well, it happens sometimes, I guess. But yeah, they're not too far away. Anyway, Cody calls out Kevin Owens first that he wants to talk to. And also wants to have a conversation with Sami Zayn as well. So we get KO and Sami out in the ring together with Cody. And KO's still saying, I've said everything I need to say. I've heard everything I need to hear from Sami. I don't want anything to do with him. Point blank, period. Things didn't seem to go that well with this segment. Put it that way, to kick off the show. Anything specific besides that part that I left out that caught your attention during that promo to kick off SmackDown?
Not that I can say. I mean, you got most of the parts that were the eye-catching of it.
I mean, there was a few words that were used in there that we come back to later in the show that lead to the final part of the show, but we'll get into it. What we can actually get into next, because that's the main thing that happened next. I mean, they show Rhea and Dominic heading to the ring. KO looks like he's leaving. He's out in the parking lot getting into a pretty nice looking car. Except for Sami comes out there and stops him from leaving right away. Says, hey, I've been going about this the wrong way. We're not just friends. You're my brother. And we've been in this together for years. And we need to take care of this together. Seemed like he really kind of caught KO's attention a little bit there, but KO still got into the car and took off. As Sami looked a little bit, I don't know which word to put in there, but wasn't too thrilled. Yes, there you go. As the camera faded to black at that point. We come back and we got the mixed tag team match. Dominic Mysterio teaming up with Rhea Ripley to go against Legado del Fantasma, Zelina Vega, and that's a pretty good team. Zelina again, Sets and Dom had good interactions as well. I did see on social media within the last couple of days that Batista was pretty entranced by one of the moves that Zelina Vega hit on Rhea Ripley during this match. So, I mean, if you're catching Batista's attention, you must be doing something right?
Oh, yeah.
But in the end, Rhea Ripley would hit the Riptide and pin Zelina Vega in her usual fashion that she pins Zelina every time that she pins her. But I don't agree with that, but okay. X-Con Dom is true Latino heat. Anywho, from there, Dom and Rhea stay in the ring, and Dominic calls out his dad, Rey Mysterio, and Dom's still trying to get Rey to accept a match against him at WrestleMania, is what he throws down here, or to fight him. And Rey still says no. So pretty much was all that we got there, as that seems to be the trend as we keep going, or will be. Then they show Drew McIntyre and the Brawling Brutes backstage getting ready for the main event. We go into the first women's WrestleMania, showcase qualifying match, as it'll be a fatal four-way match at WrestleMania with 4 tag teams facing each other just for the hell of it, pretty much, is what it sounds like. You would think they would put this as a number one contenders match, but they haven't officially announced it as a number one contenders match.
Oh,
well, that's what Mr. Hazel. I don't think I need to really read them if I put them up there like that. Zingers. Right. Where was it? Oh, yeah. So we got Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, who have teamed up together before, so it wasn't too surprising to see them together. Been a while. Going up against an odd tandem of Tegan Knox and Emma. They might have teamed up once, but the last we seen Tegan Knox, she was buddying around with Natalia, and now all of a sudden she's back with Emma. So it's like, okay, this just seemed like a random tag team, which we'll get into another one of those when we get to this past Friday's SmackDown. It was an all right tag team match here. In the end, yes, your girl, Liv Morgan, ended up hitting Oblivion to get the 1-2-3 on Emma after Raquel had hit the Chicana Bomb.
That's beautiful.
So, Liv and Raquel punched their ticket to WrestleMania. And then we go in. Charlotte Flair comes out, the SmackDown Women's Champion, and ends up calling out Rhea Ripley for a face-to-face. Dom comes out too. They exchange words back and forth, and Dom happens to pipe in that Mommy's going to beat Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, which Charlotte did not take that too well, but she ended up getting a sucker punch from it. It looked like that was all that we were going to see. Charlotte says, and Charlotte goes after Rhea, and we get a brawl finally as these two get physical for the first time as we're heading towards WrestleMania, this close to it, to what's supposed to be, it shouldn't be, what is rumored to be the main event of night one of WrestleMania. We're finally getting some physicality here. A pull apart, referees, agents, security get in there. It was a pretty heated brawl between those two ladies. I'll give it that much.
Oh, yeah.
But again, I don't like the idea of that match being the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. But
have they made it clear yet?
They haven't made it official, but there's a lot of things out there that are saying that it is.
I don't think it will be. I think it's going to be the tag team title.
It should be, which would make history itself. Mommy Mania, and I agree that Rhea's been on a big tear over the last year. She deserves that. But so then Kayla talked back to Sammy about Sammy getting ready for his face-to-face with Jey Uso at the end of the night. We see the launch party video. Xavier Woods, who's all by his lonesome because Kofi's down with an injury now, goes up against L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
I honestly felt like Knight's match with Cody on Raw was better than the match here with Xavier. No offense to Woods, but maybe it was just the fact that this match felt like it got less time. Maybe that was part to do with it. I don't know. But it just didn't click with me, this match, personally.
I didn't even really call it a match, so.
I mean, Woods ended up getting the win with the backwoods, as they call it. So.
Yeah, he knows all about that.
I'm sure he does. Then we get the coverage of the second inductee into the Hall of Fame, which was announced on the bump last week by Ric Flair. What's up? You don't like the Great Muta?
Oh, I thought it was the other one. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, the Great Muta was the second.
Okay, Great Muta is fine. I thought we were talking about the other person.
No, that's this week's.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Got mixed up.
No, Great Muta was the second person announced for the Hall of Fame.
So who do you think is going to induct him?
Probably Nate. They've got a history, so I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, the only other person I could see that is not with another company would possibly be Shinsuke.
Maybe, but we haven't seen him on TV since before the Royal Rumble, really. So,
right.
But we'll see. I mean, they did have Shinsuke, did let Shinsuke go and have a match against Muta. So, one of his final matches.
I agree with that comment.
If nobody gets misted during the speech, I don't want it. Yeah, Muta's got to miss somebody, either that night or at WrestleMania. One of the two. Muta's got to miss somebody. If not both. So before I get into the next promo, do got to mention during the Ray and Dominic promo, Ray mentioned if Punk Kid got in his face and was trashing him the way that Dominic was, he would face him no problems at WrestleMania, but he just wouldn't because it's his son. Which leads into Ray being backstage, and LA Knight comes over and says he'll go and face Dominic Mysterio at WrestleMania and teach the kid a lesson, all for his dad, since his dad offers deadbeat dad, which Ray did not take too kindly of. Ray decked LA Knight, and it set up the match that we're going to get this upcoming week on SmackDown that we did get. So things just aren't going the greatest for LA Knight the last few weeks, it seems like.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, things haven't been that great for LA Knight since the abysmal match. Yeah, that. I mean, there is a draft rumored to be coming up soon. Maybe he'd be better off moving over to Raw. Maybe things will go better for him there. Who knows? Anywho, we'll go into the main event match. You got Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre to determine who will face Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. Banger after banger after banger is what Sheamus is known for saying. These two can't put on a bad match.
No, they can't.
Great match. I mean, the ending was predictable, but because we knew what was coming. But still, Drew and Sheamus beat the hell out of each other for a long time before the end of the match happened. Of course, the ending coming, Gunther actually getting in the ring after Sheamus had hit a brogue and Drew hit the Claymore at the same exact time, so they both were down. Gunther, not happy at all about the situation, gets in the ring, gets up in the face of the referee. The match is still going on, mind you. There hasn't been a bell. As he's arguing with the referee, then Drew and Sheamus start getting back up, and then Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, who are out there ringside as well, get in the ring and start beating up on Drew and Sheamus, causing the double disqualification. The beatdown from Imperium. Adam Pearce pops up on the Titantron as Imperium's leaving and mentions, well, you didn't want a clear winner, so it is official at WrestleMania. Gunther, you will be defending the Intercontinental Championship against Drew McIntyre and Sheamus in a triple threat match. Oh, Gunther kind of beat himself there in a way. Not happy at all about the triple threat, but that's what we're going to get. And I personally, I think like a lot of people, am looking very much so forward to that triple threat match.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know those three are going to have a hell of a triple threat. That's another match that either night that they're on, they could easily be the main event of. But shall we move on to the main event segment of Friday Night SmackDown now?
Yeah.
Double the chops. That was awesome. Double the chops indeed. So we get to the final segment of SmackDown. You got main event Jey Uso out there. He eventually calls out Sammy. We get a back and forth between those two. It was definitely an interesting promo. It was very heartfelt. You could feel as those two were talking to each other. Unfortunately, words weren't enough, and we get a little bit of physicality in there. And Jimmy Uso pops out there. Jimmy and Jay look like they got the upper hand on Sammy, and then all of a sudden, KO's music hits. The Usos looking towards the entrance ramp, and instead the camera pans around in front of them, and you see Kevin Owens pop up behind him from out of the crowd. And KO takes out both members of the Usos, hitting a stunner on Jimmy and a pop-up powerbomb on Jay. And then Sammy's starting to get up. KO turns towards him. Sammy's kind of backpedaling a little bit. KO grabs him, pulls him in, and gives him the hug that the crowd was chanting for the whole night, the beginning of the night, up until that spot, as we finally get the reunion of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. This storyline has been perfection, in my opinion.
Yeah, it has.
You got a point. I mean, they are both from Canada, so. How can you not really have this? I mean, we'll get more into it when we get on to Raw, but how can you not have this as the main event of WrestleMania Night 1? I mean,
it's gotta be.
This storyline has dominated SmackDown, dominated WWE programming really for the last damn near year. Sammy being with and now against the Bloodline, so it just, to me, wouldn't feel right at all if Rhea and Charlotte get the main event instead. I like that on this segment of Hugging Out with Dr. Shelby. I loved how the crowd was chanting to hug so early in the promo at the beginning of the show too, between KO and Sammy. So it's like, yeah, you knew you weren't gonna get it then, but I just had a feeling going into SmackDown and knowing that Jay and Sammy were gonna have their face to face finally, that this probably would turn out that way at the end of the show, but still figuring it would happen and seeing it actually happen,
it's two different things.
Exactly. And it played out great. There was a lot of people that were emotional in the arena as they panned, and a lot of people at home, I'm sure, too, were. So, what would you rate SmackDown?
I'd give it a 7.5.
I'm honestly going to go a little higher. I'll give it an 8. The only reason I wouldn't go any higher than that is because the Woods and Knight match was lackluster. The women's tag match could have been better too, in my opinion. So those just bring it down to me for the most part. The rest was great on SmackDown, really. And then we move in. I know we don't talk much about this because it's a 1-hour show. Rampage, the St. Patrick's Day Slam. They had 4 matches, really 2 that mattered most, I guess, kind of. Ray Phoenix went against Powerhouse Hobbs for the TNT Championship. Powerhouse Hobbs and his whole new QTV stuff that he's a part of with QT Marshall and Aaron Solo and whatever that chick's name is. Crazy crap. They had a pretty good match. Hobbs, of course, retains the TNT Championship as he defends the title for the first time here. Not much to really mention other than that. After the match, Alex Abrahantes, the hype man for the Lucha Brothers, gets in the ring and was just there for checking on Ray Phoenix. Ends up eating a diamond cutter from QT Marshall. So, there's that. You get the in-ring debut of Taya Valkyrie, where she goes up against nobody pretty much, Eva Lawless, and beats her pretty quickly with her version of the Glam Slam. I'll say that. So, and then from there you got 2 guys that you know from WWE programming because they used to be with Jinder Mahal once upon a time when Jinder was the WWE champion. The Bollywood Boys going up against 2.0. It was a pretty good tag team match. You don't see 2.0 wrestle as just a tag team very often, it seems like, on Rampage or Dynamite, either one. But it was nice to see them here, and they picked up the win over the Bollywood Boys, as the Bollywood Boys aren't technically under AEW contract, so it wasn't surprising. But you gotta have the Bollywood Boys there because they were in Canada. So then in the main event, we get Brody King versus Daniel Garcia. A little side note to this before I go too much into it. This was supposed to be Daniel Garcia versus Buddy Matthews, but Buddy had suffered an injury during the main event match at Dynamite, so they put in Brody King instead. So Buddy is injured again. Hopefully it's nothing severe, but...
Good, now he can go to WrestleMania and watch his wife. Whatever they are.
Right? I think they're just boyfriend-girlfriend. I don't know for sure, but...
Or is he the side piece to Dom and Rhea's relationship?
I doubt that, considering Dom is actually engaged to a different woman, but who knows?
But I do find this ironic. So, Dom and Rhea have their thing, and then Buddy had the thing with Dom's sister.
Yeah, I know, right? It is interesting. Brody King and Daniel Garcia had a pretty decent match. In the end, Chris Jericho, who was out there with Garcia, ended up hitting Brody King with his bat, Floyd, which led to Garcia locking in a submission hold, and Brody King was already out, so he wins by pass out. So, just a decent episode of Rampage. Nothing too exciting. I wasn't a fan of Brody King losing, to be honest with you, but I guess it makes a little more sense if they wanted. They said they needed a member of JAS to win over the House of Black to continue that rivalry. Is why Brody King lost there. Otherwise, Buddy Matthews was supposed to lose. So I'll give him that. All right. Well, yes. Dominic's sis. Dom calls his girl mommy. Ex-con Dom greater than Buddy Matthews. Well, he's not completely wrong, honestly. Hold on a sec. I gotta check some stuff here real quick. Nothing important. Okay. I mean, yes, but no. Move on from there to this past Monday night's Raw. They start the show re-showing what happened at the end of SmackDown. You get Kevin Owens coming out and also Sami Zayn coming out together.
Ole, 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 ole.
So nice to have that chant and hear that theme song back, I have to say. KO and Sammy talking about how they mended fences and how they feel like they still have one more step to try and end the bloodline. They both look up at the WrestleMania sign. So, of course, at that point, that's when you get Jimmy and Jey Uso coming out. And KO and Sammy mention how they want a tag team title shot at WrestleMania. And Jimmy says, hell no. You ain't getting no tag team title shot. You guys haven't done anything to deserve it. Which Jay's like, whoa, pump the brakes. This could be our one chance to solve the KO and Sammy problem. So Jay actually accepts the challenge, and it will be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania. And then Jay says, what? Who says we have to wait until Mania? As we get a brawl between those four guys, you get referees and everybody else coming out there to try and separate it. And as they're brawling, you see on a Titantron the arrival of Solo Sikoa, Paul Heyman, and your tribal chief, Roman Reigns. undisputed WWE champion. That kind of stopped everybody in their tracks. You go to commercial and they come back with the first match, which was the United States champion Austin Theory going up against the other half of the Street Profits, Montez Ford. Before I get into that match too much, they did reveal there will be a fatal four-way match for the men's side as well, tag teams wise, for WrestleMania Showcase. Street Profits and Alpha Academy represent Raw, Braun Strowman and Ricochet, and the Viking Raiders. You shoosh.
You shoosh.
You shoosh.
I want to know what? Otis.
Yeah, we'll get into more of that later. Anyway, we get Austin Theory versus Montez Ford. I felt like this was much better of a match than what Theory and Dawkins put on the week before, easily. But in the end, I mean, Theory, of course, hits the 8-count down and gets a 1-2-3 beating Montez Ford, but Ford had some great spots in that match, that's for sure. I feel like you can easily tell how much of a star Montez Ford is going to be on his own at some point in time in these type of matches. My personal opinion, though. And then Theory gets on the mic and talks some trash about John Cena afterwards and says that he's going to retain the U.S. title. Blah, blah, blah. We go backstage, have a little backstage segment as the Usos are with Roman and Solo and Heyman, and Roman says, and Roman wants to know from Jay, because he ends up, well, this is a two-parter, but he ends up sending out Solo and Jimmy and Paul. He wants to know from Jay, are you actually in the bloodline? I mean, you're making decisions out there. Who gives you permission to give decisions? You got to be part of the bloodline to make those kind of decisions. And Jay says, I am definitely a part of the bloodline. I'm all here. The thing that kind of stuck out the most in this promo is at the end, you have Roman Reigns tell Jay, I love you. Jey Uso just kind of walks off. He didn't repeat it back to Roman. Paul Heyman pops back in and asks Roman if he got what he was looking for, and Roman says that he got exactly what he needed. Interesting where that could be going after what we've seen with Sami, the whole thing with Sami. Any part of that you picked up on that I didn't catch there?
Nope, you got it all covered.
Right. And we go backstage. Byron talking with Adam Pearce, pretty much about WrestleMania stuff, and you get Chelsea Green in there mentioning how she's got the tag team match coming up tonight, but for some reason Carmella is not cleared, it sounds like, to be in a match. So she's got Piper Niven now as her tag team partner to face Asuka and Bianca later in the show. Chelsea trying to get Adam to put her in the WrestleMania match, but that didn't go anywhere pretty much at that point. And then we go into Omos going one-on-one with Mustafa Ali. Another squash match here. Omos beat Ali pretty quickly. Dolph Ziggler is shown watching backstage, looking kind of disappointed, but I'm sure I've asked you this before, but do you really think they're going to do anything worth mentioning in this whole Dolph Ziggler Ali storyline here?
Normally I would say yes, but we're too close to Mania. There's already too many storylines. I don't think it's really going to go anywhere. It's just going to fizzle out eventually.
So what I'm thinking is they're going to keep kind of showing stuff for it, but the draft is supposed to be coming up at some point quick after the WrestleMania. I could easily see it just getting dropped and having one of them move over to SmackDown.
Or they're going to be that makeshift team that's in the Fatal 4-Way.
I mean, we've already got all 4 teams in there, but
hey, we still got a week.
That's true. That's true. I was gonna say we'll get more into that later, but then we get Impulsive TV. Before this show started, I mean, Logan Miz had a little interaction backstage, and Miz saying that he wanted to be the guest on Impulsive TV, and Logan Paul says, no. Pretty much. That was it. Just no. Don't want you. Don't need you. Instead, Logan Paul's out there talking trash and how the crowd never liked him and they'll never appreciate the athlete that he is and how much he actually cares. He was spitting a lot of truths out there, I felt like, honestly.
He was.
You could tell that he actually cares about it, in my opinion. Even though the crowd keeps shitting on him. But anyway, out comes Seth freaking Rollins, and we get back and forth between those two a little bit, and then we get the brawl, the pull apart brawl. But unfortunately for Seth freaking Rollins, he would eat a one lucky punch yet again.
Bye-bye, bitch.
And I don't think Logan actually said that this time. But
he didn't have to. We all know he was thinking it.
True. Yada, yada, yada. So then we go into Dominic Mysterio with Damian Priest in his corner, goes up against Johnny Gargano with Dexter Lumis. They re-showed from NXT the week before. They didn't mention during it, where Grayson Waller attacked Johnny Gargano at his house. Watching. Taped up because of it. I personally, though, match felt like it was one of the better matches that Dominic Mysterio's had since he's debuted in WWE. Personally, he had a pretty good one against Santos a couple weeks back, but I still felt like this match was even better. Maybe that says something for Johnny Gargano. Maybe it says something for Dominic's improvements too. I don't know. But unfortunately, in the end, Dominic did pick up the win here because he's got to keep Dominic's winning streak going for now. But still, Johnny looked really good in this match. All right. And then Dom talked afterwards, mentioned how his whole family is going to be in Las Vegas on SmackDown on Friday, so he was going to have to make a stop and try and see if he can get his mom's permission to face his dad at WrestleMania. Which we'll get into. The Usos, Solo, and Paul Heyman have a little backstage segment, which was Paul telling the Usos to go to the plane, and Roman had some food ready for him, but just them, because Solo was just sticked around for what was coming at the end of the show with Roman. Then we got a pretty dark segment from the Rated R Superstar Edge as he's talking about the whole Hell in a Cell match. And he tells Finn, leave Finn Balor at home. Bring your demons inside Hell in a Cell. So I heard a rumor.
So does that mean it's Demon Finn Balor versus Brood Edge?
I heard a rumor today that WWE is possibly bringing in Gangrel for WrestleMania. So yes, even before that rumor, I heard we were getting Brood version of Edge, and it looks like Edge will have Gangrel in his corner. There's talks of potentially having Gangrel and Damian Priest getting physical during the Hell in a Cell match as well. My main thinking of it is, damn it, Christian, why'd you have to go to AEW?
I know, right?
Because then we could have had a full Brood reunion here. But sorry, should have put a spoiler alert out there. But anyway,
I got you. That's not a prediction. That's a spoiler.
Exactly. Anyway, then we get Rhea Ripley coming out there to talk about her whole SmackDown Women's Championship match. I kind of felt like little bits of this were heelish, but It felt more like a babyface promo that she cut here for the most part. I'll get into more of that when we get to SmackDown as well. She did get interrupted by Damage Control, and Bayley most specifically, which seemed odd for Damage Control to interrupt her. But out of that, I mean, Adam Pearce would eventually come out, and we'd get a match between Bayley and Rhea Ripley. The whole premise of it was 10-year anniversary of Bayley being in WWE. 10 years
and
since
Bayley got her butt kicked.
She gave a good fight, but in the end, Becky Lynch, Lita, and Trish Stratus had come out with Becky bringing out a huge bag of popcorn. It was impressive. They kind of evened the odds in a way, but in the end, Becky took out Dakota and Io. Becky was able to stalk Bayley into a riptide from Rhea. So Becky kind of cost Bayley the match there. Not that Bayley was going to ever win against Rhea.
What could we say? She was just not ready for the big time.
Good one. Interesting to see that 6-woman tag match still at WrestleMania. Little side note, Becky did do an interview this week. She's still hoping to defend the women's tag team titles on night 2 and have that match on night 1, but we'll see if that happens. She wants to be Becky 2 match. Becky 2 bouts. That's what she called it. So then we go backstage. Chad Gable looking for Otis again, who he'd eventually find, and Maxine Dupree was there, and they're just talking about the Fatal 4-Way match coming up at WrestleMania. And Otis kind of had an ultimatum here. Either he could go out with Chad Gable for Gable's upcoming match, or he could stay in the back with Maxine Dupree. Otis decided to go with Gable, with Master Gable though here. And Maxine was not happy at all. As I see, you were not either.
Nope.
And then we get this week's WrestleMania vignette, spoof, whatever you want to call it. The 40-year-old virgin with the Brawling Brutes and Drew McIntyre with Ridge Holland getting waxed. I laughed so hard during this, both on Raw and SmackDown watching it. This was my second favorite one so far, honestly. Just barely getting beat by Seth and Becky's. But the things that Ridge Holland said, I mean, and then you get Butch who walks off and then waits until Ridge is about to get the hair taken off of his nipple, and that's when Butch comes back in and tears the wax off. It's just like, that is just hilarious. It was a very, very good spoof in it. Then we get the social media coverage of the third inductee into the Hall of Fame, Mr. Andy Kaufman, the celebrity version of the celebrity person to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. What's your issue with Andy Kaufman going in?
I just feel like there's better celebrities that have done more for the company that have not gone in yet than the comedian.
Fair.
I mean, one in particular that Ed brings up at work all the time, Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, that's true. She does deserve to go in there. Wait. One sec. We go into the next match. You got Ricochet with Braun Strowman going up against Chad Gable with Otis in his corner. But in the end, it was Maxine Dupree coming out and luring Otis away from the ring to make it happy. It caused a distraction to Gable, who ends up getting caught And shooting star press from Ricochet, 1, 2, 3, as Ricochet and Braun Strowman build a little momentum heading toward WrestleMania. But like I said, yeah, that was a really good match. I'm happy that they're giving Chad Gable quite a bit of time for matches when they are having to do singles matches lately. And they're letting him show how good of a wrestler he is. All right. From there, then we go into the main event tag team match. You get Chelsea Green and Piper Niven versus Bianca Belair and Asuka. And the old can they coexist champion and challenger, as we get just about every year, it seems like, headed towards WrestleMania. You get the blind tags from both individuals at times. At the end, there was a little bit. Yeah, you're right. She's an actor. Okay. At the end, you get a little miscommunication there, and Bianca decks Asuka. But Bianca would hit the KOD on Piper Niven, surprisingly. Get the 1, 2, 3. However, after that, she would get kicked by Asuka. So, Asuka finally, but that was pretty much it. I mean, she barely got hit much, but finally a little bit of physicality between those two going towards the Raw Women's title match at WrestleMania. Yeah, so that was pretty much that, except for now we got to go into the main event segment. Roman Reigns comes out to interact with Cody Rhodes as we get a little previews, talking wise, and into WrestleMania. I'll let you take this away. What was some of the things that stuck out the most to you in this promo that these guys had?
I mean, what didn't stick out is the question here. This is probably the best promo leading up to this match. And they both have their spots. Like, I mean, the easiest thing. Oh, you said you were going to do this, you ran. You're going to do this, you ran. Well, then Cody taking the negative comment, making it, yeah, I ran, but I made everyone this much better.
Right.
It's just like they kept going and stacking on top of each other. And if you had to choose a winner out of this promo, hands down,
Cody.
Exactly. I mean, the best way to say it is adrenaline in my soul, something, something, Cody Rhodes.
Only problem is I looked up the lyrics and Cody Rhodes is never in that song.
I know, but it fits so well.
It does. Whoa! But yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, Rowan just kind of kept trying to chip away at Cody with the digs of you ran away, you went off, you couldn't stick around and couldn't finish the story, so as to speak, as he's trying to do at WrestleMania. And like you said, Cody just comes back saying, hey, I just went off. I was trying to make things better for myself and for the industry in a whole. So, and the fact that at the end of that, Cody not only defends himself, but he turns it around on Roman as well and mentions, hey, what's a chief without a tribe? Where are you going to be when Jay leaves you? And then when Jay leaves you, Jimmy's obviously going to leave you to be with his brother. And then when the Usos are gone, Solo's going to leave you.
And I see you staring at me the entire time. But let me tell you something. I was the second one. I was second generation to someone. And, I mean, he just cut Solo to like, whoop.
He did, too. And he makes a great point because Cody was in that spot with Randy back in Legacy back in the day. And him and Ted both. But he made great points to Solo there. And Roman for that matter. But it was interesting to see Solo kind of have to be talked back down from that. More to elaborate on that, I mean, those digs cost made it so that Roman just walked off while he was. Cody got into Roman's head. Point blank, period.
You can't forget about the Paul Heyman dig, too.
Yeah, he did have a dig in there. Let me see. Brush off with that. Mr. Awesome says, Cody really doesn't want you to bring up Dusty in the promos. He might even drop the Rhodes last name. That's never happened, right? Cody after Mania confirmed. He was just Cody in AEW because WWE would legally allow him to be Rhodes. So it was only Cody Rhodes when it was Cody and Brandy Rhodes in AEW. Mr. Awesome also mentioned WWE would never have a wrestler/sports entertainer from a famous bloodline come out to just their first name. I don't think they will, but who knows? But I think it's more that Cody's just tired of his dad keep getting brought up all the time. Personally, you can't just keep using that against him. But to put a bow on this, as mentioned, Roman and Paul Heyman left in a huff, but Solo stuck around, and Cody kept pushing digs towards Solo pretty much to the point that Solo was ready to fight. Roman actually got up on the ring apron and told his cousin, "It's not the time. I told you, it's time to leave." So,
yeah, but that was after he tried the first time and got knocked out.
True. After Solo got knocked back, rather.
Yeah. I mean, someone blocked the Samoan spike.
Yeah, that's true. Because Solo did go for it. Mr. Austin says, I think the American Nightmare may disappoint and drop the Rhodes last name. He fails to defeat the bloodline and out of shame becomes strictly Cody. I don't think so, but hey, who knows? Stranger things will happen.
Cody anti-Rhodes.
All right. So what would you rate this Raw?
I'd give it a strong 8.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go 7.5-ish though. That there's just a couple things that kind of brought it down a little bit to me. It's like that Omos Ali match for one. That was the main one, really. Just seeing that brief period, and it felt like some things could have been a little bit better promo wise and stuff. So, but yeah, I felt like it was a really good show, better than what we've seen over the couple weeks before that. Leading into it. All right, moving into NXT. NXT this past week was promo / stand and deliver prep heavy, I guess you could say, because they only had 4 matches on the show, which is very unusual for NXT. Mr. Awesome, what else did you say? I mean, Cody was ashamed of his face in the past and wore a mask. Dashing grotesque, you never know. Good point. Failure at Mania, losing his American dream could send him over the edge. Possibly. I hope not, but possibly. So anyway, NXT started off with another women's championship qualifying match when Tiffany Stratton went against Indy Hartwell. So I'm not a fan of Indy Hartwell keep losing every single week, and she did again here to somebody who she shouldn't have, I felt like. I figured Tiffany Stratton would win and make it in the ladder match, but still, I feel like Indy Hartwell deserves much better than what she's getting right now. And still say she should just be brought up to Raw and have the Way return.
Or at least just get Index again.
Yeah, if nothing else. The match really between Tiffany and Indy was a match. There's not much to say about it really other than that. However, the match that took place after that on NXT, that was probably the best match of the week, honestly. That was the Irish Ace, or former Irish Ace. I guess he doesn't technically go by that anymore. JD McDonough versus Ilya Dragunov. And those two, they destroyed each other for probably a good 20 minutes, I think the match ended up being, if not more. Again, like I said, I felt like this was probably the best match on TV all week. And it even ended in a no contest. So, again, like the Drew and Sheamus SmackDown. But the way these two tore into each other, what had happened before the match was Wesley was out there talking about his North American title match at Stand and Deliver, how he was going to get to pick his 4 opponents. And Dragon Lee came out and ended up being the first person to get into the Fatal 5-Way match. And then JD McDonough came out saying that he deserves it pretty much, and then led into the match. At the end of the match, though, Dragon Lee, who was sitting at ringside, had gotten JD thrown into him by Ilya, and then got up. It just became a brawl between those three. And out of nowhere, Wesley comes flying over the top rope, taking out all 3 guys. When you get a brawl, as the 4 of them get a pull apart there. But it looks like it'll probably be those 4. Well, no, it looks like. They would later talk to Wesley backstage, and Wesley would confirm that it'll be the 4 of them guys and 1 more person at Stand and Deliver for the North American Championship. Axiom came into the picture saying he wanted that shot. Wesley says, you gotta earn it. Because this next week on NXT, there will be a Battle Royal where the winner will get that last spot in the North American Championship match at Stand and Deliver. So go from there. Get another qualifying match for the NXT Women's Championship ladder match. Ivy Nile went against Lyra Valkyria. And I was not surprised by who won this match. Lyra Valkyria did. Ivy Nile looked pretty good, though, on this match. But in the end, Lyra Valkyria keeps her momentum going and picks up the victory. And she'll join Tiffany Stratton and Gigi Dolan and Zoe Stark so far as the ladder match for the women's tournament. Trying to think if there's anything else to mention before I get into the Oh, throughout the night, they did show Dallas in the bar, but then the Creed brothers showed up at the bar, and they had their fun. They played some pool first, and then they threw some darts. Went 1-1. The Creed brothers wanted a match for the tag team titles, the NXT tag team titles, Stand and Deliver, which Dallas agreed to. As they're leaving the bar, though, Tony D'Angelo and Stacks are outside the bar, and they want to talk. So we go back into the bar, and you see some more stuff go down. Out of all that, we get a triple threat match for the tag team titles at NXT Stand and Deliver, as Stacks and Tony D'Angelo are also involved. Some pretty good segments in the bar with those three teams all involved anyway. Anywho, speaking of teams, you get a makeshift team because at the beginning of the show, Pretty Deadly was out and talking about how things didn't go their way last week and they were going to erase everything that happened to them, losing to Gallus, and what happened at the end of the show was all going to be stricken from the record books because they're the hosts of Stand and Deliver, so they can do that. But Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes came out, and Trick Williams accepted a main event match where it would be Pretty Deadly versus Carmelo Hayes and the NXT champion Bron Breakker, not Trick Williams. And Carmelo did not seem like he was too thrilled with that because he wasn't really wanting to team up with Bron. But the Trick's defense here, when he talked to Carmelo backstage and mentioned, hey, this is giving you a chance to get firsthand look at Bron Breakker and getting a little studying in. I can take some notes. That way you got an idea of what to look out for when it comes to Stand and Deliver.
Smart.
Wasn't it, though?
It was.
So, and we get to the main event. You got Pretty Deadly versus Hayes and Breaker. This was a pretty good tag team match. I mean, Carmelo and Ron got along very well for two guys that are going to be facing each other in a week's time, a week and a half at that point. Yes. Nope, I'm good, thank you. But in the end, actually, Ron Breaker would hit Kit Wilson with the spear and then tag out to Carmelo Hayes to let Carmelo hit his leg drop off the top rope to get the 1, 2, 3. And then those two actually got along even after the match. We didn't get a brawl or nothing. So definitely interesting to see two people that'll face each other in a main event coming up actually be on the same page for one night at least. It's almost like what we're getting here is two big main events that weekend where the champion and challenger, currently at least, haven't touched each other.
It's true.
Which is very unusual.
Very often.
Right. All right. I don't think there's anything really worth noting from NXT other than that stuff to mention. Like I said, it was very stand and deliver heavy the show, but just 4 matches was surprising. They gave a lot of time to drag it off and make none of them, which was really worth it. 5 out of 10.
Yeah,
I give it. Probably give it a 5.5. All right, move on to Dynamite. The show starts off with the Young Bucks getting loaded up into ambulances. You don't know what happened, but they got attacked. Brandon Cutler's leaving with them, and Hangman leaves with them, but Don Callis talks Kenny into sticking around. And we got the first match is a trios match because you got Orange Cassidy, the international champion, Darby Allin, and the Stinger going up against the Butcher, the Blade, and Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford in their corner. I'm sure you enjoyed seeing Sting cosplay as Orange Cassidy in this match.
That was awesome.
I will admit it was interesting to see Sting do that, but to see him actually Stinger up, if you will, and do the actual posing and all that was even better. Had the Scorpion Deathlock locked in at one point, I think on Kip at that point, and Butcher just kept beating on him, and the Blade came in, and they were beating on him. Couldn't get Sting off right away, but he eventually did. Sting got some good spots in there. His birthday was like the day before, or a couple days before, I think, so that's probably the main reason they put him on the show. It was his first match on AEW programming this week, too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. He'd been in Darby's corner for like a match, but he hadn't actually been in a match. Other than he had the match with Great Muta, that was an AEW. But in the end, Sting was able to hit the Scorpion Death Drop on Kip Sabian to get the 1, 2, 3 as these 3 guys stood tall. And as Sting and Orange Cassidy were celebrating, all Darby was doing was kept looking up at I just drew a blank. Double or Nothing banner that was up in the rafters. Because Darby's clearly wanting that shot at the AEW World Title there. Double or Nothing. And we go from there. You got Top Flight versus the Guns for the AEW World Tag Team titles. And Darius and Dante looked pretty good throughout this match. But as we got towards the end of it, the Kingdom comes out and makes their intentions known, so as they distract the Top Flight leading into the Guns, picking up the win and making the tag. As Austin pinned Dante after that finish for 310 to Yuma. But it's what happened after the match that was a little more noteworthy. as the Guns are celebrating, and you get FTR's music playing as FTR comes out, and Dax and Cash say they want the title shot, but they're willing to give up something for that title shot. And the Guns say, you don't have anything we want. Well, out of all that, FTR says titles versus careers. If they can't beat the Guns, they, FTR, will leave AEW for good. So that
when is this going to happen?
They haven't confirmed it, but I would assume Double or Nothing.
And is Double or Nothing after WrestleMania?
Yes.
Damn.
WrestleMania is this upcoming weekend, bud.
I know. I'm not hopes up. Maybe that'd be a Raw after Mania surprise.
Right. No, it's definitely not this upcoming weekend Dynamite. I've seen the card for that. Yeah. Renee talked to them. Don't care. Doesn't matter. Then we go in. You get Stokely Hathaway going up against the FTW champion Hook in a no disqualification match. Before the bell can ring, though, Stokely grabs the microphone and says, "Oh, I've been checked by the doctor, by Doc Sampson, and I'm not cleared to compete. And I'm announcing now that I am retiring from in-ring competition. Here, Justin, read this off of my notes here, and have a good night, everybody, pretty much." And Justin Roberts says, "With all due respect, Stokely, this is just a receipt." And the referee takes it, rips it up, ring the bell. Hook demolishes Stokely Hathaway pretty quickly. He didn't even T-boned him through a table. You'd think he pinned him at that point. Well, he pinned him, but he picked him up at the count of 2. Got to hook in that Red Brawl to get the win.
Oh, yeah.
Nice out. You see Matt Hardy, Ethan Page, Lee Moriarty, Isaiah Cassidy, and Big Bill backstage throughout the match. And Nat's trying to talk Ethan Page up. "Oh, man, Ethan, you got to get revenge. You can get the revenge. You're the one to beat Hook. You need to go out there and beat Hook for Stokely." Nat's just playing Ethan like a fiddle right now, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Because Matt clearly tapped out way quicker than he needed to do to the Red Rum to lead to this match. That happened. He knew what he had talked him into. So then we go to Adam Cole.
Baby!
Coming out and talking about how next week's the debut of All Access, but also his in-ring return. And everybody wanted to know who he'll be facing. Well, out comes JAS member Daniel Garcia, who says that ever since Cole's been out of action, Daniel Garcia, has been the one building momentum and picking up all the slack and all that crap. And Adam Cole says, "Well, if you want a match, you got it. But just remember, you asked for it. Because I'm going to prove to everybody why I am still Adam Cole, baby." Alex Marvez caught up with Don Callis and Kenny Omega backstage. Alex trying to tell Kenny that it was a good thing that the Young Bucks aren't there and that Kenny needs to focus on his match coming up in the main event. Moxley then goes up against Grayson, who is now officially back in AEW, by the way. Grayson is part of the AEW roster again. Moxley has both of his Blackpool Combat Club members in his corner. Grayson's got Evil Uno, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver in his. This was a really good match between these two guys. It's been a long time, really, since Stu Grayson in a singles match. But he showed out in this. But in the end, it took a Deathbiter off the top rope from Jon Moxley to pick up the 1, 2, 3 to get the win. That says something, because you don't usually see Moxley with that from the top.
No, it's a very rare sight.
It is. Renee caught up with Ricky backstage. Ricky's tired of all the games from Bruce Robinson, so he was going to call out Juice on Rampage. They have a QTV again, QT Marshall, whatever that girl's name is, and Aaron Solo talking. Sky Blue went up against Tony Storm. A match that went way longer than it should have because we've seen it before not that long ago, honestly, and Tony Storm could have easily won this match, but for some reason they gave Sky Blue quite a bit of offense. But in the end, Tony Storm would pick up the win with Storm's arrest. And then as they went to spray paint her, out came Riho with a lead pipe and Willow Nightingale to run off the Outcasts. And the main event, well, before that, Stu Grayson's backstage, getting checked over by two trainers. And Mox pops up behind him, just tapping him on the back, and they end up Blackpool Combat Club picks up Stu Grayson backstage. There's nobody there to help Grayson, apparently. Main event time, you get El Hijo del Vikingo, who I haven't seen any of before this. But man, I kind of want to now. Going up against Kenny by God Omega. I know I said Ilya Dragunov and JD McDonough had the match of the week, but this is a damn close second. That's for sure. There's too many spots in this match that were amazing from Vikingo. If I even pronounce that right, I don't know for sure, but it was just incredible the things that guy could do. The 630 to Kenny Omega through the table on the outside of the ring, that was incredible, in my opinion. Just the things that guy could do from one side of the rope to the other side of it, hitting the move off of them. I've never seen a lot of things that he was able to do in that. So it was very impressive. Although it was all for naught because he did end up hitting the one-winged angel to get the 1, 2, 3, but still a great showing from the family's debut in AEW.
I mean, yeah. That's a tough one.
Yeah?
Yeah. For the ranking?
Yeah.
Well, it helps that there was no Jade Cargill. Let's start with that. So, I'd probably give it about 7, maybe 7.5.
Right. We didn't go over what happened at the end of the show, but we'll get into that in a second. But, I mean, yeah, I didn't talk about it. They did show Jade talk a little bit, but I'd probably give it around the same ranking-wise. After that main event match, though, Hangman Adam Page showed back up as the BCC was beating up Kenny Omega in the ring because Hangman had stolen an ambulance in the last Stone Cold that we see back in the day. Hangman came out with a 2x4, and Don Callis actually pretended like Hangman had pushed him or punched him or knocked him down, whatever. And Kenny will leave Don Callis over Hangman as Hangman had ran off the Blackpool Combat Club. Which is crazy. But yeah, I'd rate it probably about 7.5. All right. So there's that. Move into Friday Night SmackDown this week. You said before we went on the air, you got a lot to say about this show. So. Here we go. The show kicks off with Luke Big Kaiser going up against Cody Rhodes. Paul Heyman would come out during the match, and eventually Solo would as well. They get 2 commercial breaks for this match. Pretty lengthy opening contest.
Yeah, with Kaiser in it.
Huh?
Yeah, pretty lengthy match with Ludwig Kaiser in it.
Yeah, well, he looked really good in there against Cody, honestly. I thought. So I almost feel like even though Cody's undefeated, I just feel like he's kind of trying to elevate the talent even more in these matches with the matches that he's had since his return. Yes, he's not losing to him, but still.
He's making them look good at the same time. You're getting they're getting their moments.
Yes.
And they're working well enough together where it's a big pop from the crowd.
Exactly. And man, Cody is over like Rover when it comes to crowds. He is, I did see online, one of, if not the biggest seller for WWE shop merchandise right now, too. That tells you something. Keeping up there with the bloodline. After the match, after Cody had hit the crossroads to get the win, I mean, Giovanni Vinci had even gotten involved in the match, but Mr. Heyman comes into the ring and says, I have to issue an apology to you. Although he didn't really elaborate on what the apology was as this promo went on. But his main thing was mentioning how Cody Rhodes was going to be in a match this upcoming Monday night on Raw. And that match was going to be against Solo Sikoa.
About time.
Heyman throws the microphone at Cody, thinking that it was either going to hit Cody or Cody was going to drop it. But Cody actually caught the microphone and says that he is going to prove that Solo is not ready. Which the crowd starts chanting along.
Finally, someone will prove he's not ready. I mean, we've already been saying that for how long?
Quite a while. But he says he's going to beat Solo. Paul mentioned that Roman will be on SmackDown next week for the final face-to-face with Cody. And Cody says, yeah, I'll be there and I'll be ready. And at WrestleMania, I'm going to prove that Roman Reigns also is not ready for Cody Rhodes. So then, that was pretty much the gist of that promo. We get Charlotte Flair, the SmackDown Women's Champion, coming out. And whereas I said Rhea Ripley's promo on Raw Monday night felt like it was a babyface promo, this promo kind of went more so towards the heelish promo for Charlotte Flair, where she's supposed to be the babyface in this whole situation. I felt like anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that too. It was just weird how they got it flipped around.
Right? In a way, it makes sense. I mean, Rhea is getting over with the crowds, so maybe they're feeding into that. But Charlotte was getting some pretty good reactions from the crowds lately too, so I don't know. That. They just have each solo promos on Raw and SmackDown, though. That was my personal feeling about it, especially if it ends up being the main event.
Right.
And they showed Sami and KO talking backstage as we're going to get the KO show at the end of the night. Rey Mysterio had his match with LA Knight. And during the middle of that match, Rey looks like he's got things in firm control, except for Dominic comes out and interrupts things. And Dom ends up distracting his dad to the point, he trips up Rey at the end of the match, and LA Knight is able to get the victory, roll him up for the win. Do you want to take over what happened from there, John?
Oh, yes. More trash talking in the ring. And, of course, Rey saying he won't. He just walks away. He won't deal with Dom. Well, Dom goes over to his mother and starts asking about if you knew that he was a deadbeat dad and how that makes you a deadbeat mom because you were right there. And then I forget the sister's name.
Aaliyah.
Aaliyah gets in his face. You need to back up because you're too stupid to understand. And the mom grabs the microphone. And then Dom grabs the back. Shut up, Mom. And then here comes Ray. And Ray comes over and knocks him on his ass. And we all cheer. It was the best part of the night.
Right?
Until later on.
Right. Yeah, we'll get into that. Finally, Ray had enough. And it took Dominic to yell at his mother to shut up, which Ray says, "You do not talk to your mother, my wife, that way. And you want a match at WrestleMania? I'll see you at WrestleMania." We're going to get father versus son at WrestleMania. All right. No, that's definitely... I'm kind of surprised a little bit that it happened on SmackDown because I had heard rumors that they might have built up to it and not have Ray touch him until like the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But I'm kind of glad they didn't hold off on it. I mean, the whole Mysterio family is going to be there for the Hall of Fame next Friday, so they'll still probably do something during the Hall of Fame ceremony as well. More than likely. Rhea posted on social media afterwards that she was not happy with Ray and that he would be dealt with too.
Yep.
Which makes sense. She's been involved in the whole storyline too. So from there, we go into another makeshift tag team as you got Xia Li and Lacey Evans teaming up. First time since the Royal Rumble, pretty much. I think that Lacey Evans has been on TV. Not many times, but as they face Natalya and Shotzi, who don't team up that often either, but they have teamed up before. So, you got Liv and Raquel, of course, sitting next to the commentators as they're watching to see who will be the team to advance to the Fatal 4-Way WrestleMania Showcase match. It was just there, pretty much. This match there was nothing special about it, really. Lacey hits the women's right on her tag team partner, Xia Li, by mistake. Natalya ends up locking in the sharpshooter on Xia and gets the submission victory as Natalya and Shotzi win. Then you get Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler coming out, mentioning, "Oh, look at these four. We've done damage to all four of them already." And talk about how they've broken the nose of Natalya and injured the shoulder and arm of Raquel and took out the Shotzi and the emotional damage to Liv. And they also announced that Shayna and Ronda, will be in that Fatal 4-Way match at WrestleMania, the WrestleMania Showcase match as well.
It must be nice to be off TV for a little bit. Just come back and get handed whatever you want.
You sound like my mom. She'd be saying the same thing if we were watching SmackDown. How do they rate? They don't have to qualify. They just get put in the match? Yeah, well, it's Ronda Rousey. She gets anything she wants. To her benefit, she has had an injured arm. You can see the elbow pad was on her left elbow. That's why she hasn't been wrestling the last couple of weeks. But
plus, Triple H is still scared of her.
I mean, that would make sense. She did take him out with the Piper's Pit the whole time. So. All right. Reed showed what happened with Ray and Dominic and all that stuff. Then we get the contract signing for the Intercontinental Championship Triple Threat match for WrestleMania. And Adam Pearce has Drew out there first, and then out comes the Brawling Brutes, and Sheamus and Drew just go at it back and forth verbally. Sheamus saying that Drew's a backstabber, and Drew's saying, "Hey, I know I can beat Gunther. History shows you can't." So Drew's got some points there. I mean, Sheamus had 2 opportunities and he's lost. So, but And then Imperium comes out, and Gunther gets all up in Adam Pearce's face, wanting to know what justifies this match getting made into a triple threat instead of being one-on-one, and he wanted a singles match for the whatever you want to call it, the Intercontinental Championship. And anyway, Gunther ends up getting attacked by Butch. Go ahead. What were you gonna say, John?
Oh, it's the All Atlantic Championship.
Sure. The prestige, that's the word I was looking for, of the Intercontinental Championship. Butch ends up attacking Gunther, and Gunther gets back in the face of Pierce and tells him to make the match. We come back from commercial, and you got Gunther versus Butch. Or, if you look back just a couple years, Walter versus Pete Dunne.
That match was better than this match.
It was. This match didn't get anywhere near as much time as what they did in their previous matches when they were part of NXT UK, but Gunther did pick up the win, as you'd figure. Rumor has it Triple H still plans on getting rid of the Butch name and changing it to Pete Dunne, but he wants him out of the Brawling Brutes first. He doesn't want him to be Pete Dunne as part of the Brawling Brutes.
Okay.
So, Drew and Sheamus got involved in a little melee in which outside the ring during the match, and that's what kind of led to Butch losing to Gunther. After the match, though, Sheamus got in the ring and got in the face of Gunther, and Drew ended up hitting a Claymore on Gunther that almost looked like it could have been intended for Sheamus, but Gunther ended up beating him. Interesting as we head towards WrestleMania to see where things go with those three guys next week on SmackDown after that. Especially when they announced Drew and Sheamus will be teaming up against the other two members of Imperium on SmackDown this week. Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser. Then we went backstage, the Street Profits hyping up that triple threat match and their fatal four-way match at WrestleMania, and Ricochet and Braun Strowman come in to talk about it. It was kind of a pointless segment, honestly, to just kind of build towards the fatal four-way match. That maybe the Alpha Academy will be part of, maybe they won't. So it's going to walk out on Chad Gable. I don't know.
All of a sudden, it's going to be Maximum
Male Models?
Yes.
Oh, boy. So, then we find out next week's SmackDown will be WrestleMania SmackDown. You get the tag team match I just mentioned. Cody and Roman will be face to face again, and you also get the return of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. As of Friday night, when they showed the picture, the four biggest names really in the match. You got a lot of tag teams in there. You got Bronson Reed in there. LA Knight's supposed to be in there. You got Johnny and Dexter Lumis. Yeah. Who was the other person? Oh, Happy Corbin's in there. Some of the big names.
Oh, he's gonna win it.
Sure, he's gonna win it again. Madcap Moss is in there again, since he won last year. The biggest surprise, and the guy I don't think who will actually end up being in there, Bobby Lashley was shown as being part of that battle royal.
No, I think that'll change tomorrow night.
Probably. I mean, I'm not even sure LA Knight will really end up being in that match. I think they'll probably do something bigger with him at WrestleMania than just have him be part of the battle royal the night before. But we'll see.
Because you can't have a WrestleMania in LA without LA Knight.
Yeah. All right. So then we get to the main event segment of SmackDown, the KO show. Kevin Owens comes out, does all this talking, hyping up Sami Zayn, his guest. And Sami comes out and KO says, "So are you happy? Did I do it the way you wanted me to? Are you satisfied with how I came out for my own pop and you came out for your pop, which is understandable." And Sami's like, "You have to mention everything that we talk about backstage." It was funny. All of it leads to them to eventually KO mentioning how he told Sammy months back that he needed a better shirt than the one that he got from Bloodline. And he pulls out a shirt, and you see the usual KO Mania. And, well, we find out it's the back of the shirt. But it's not what's on the back of the shirt that he wants Sammy to see. It's what's on the front of the shirt. Sammy takes the shirt, turns it around, and he's got WrestleZania on the front of the shirt with Zayn duct taped over Mania part of the shirt, which is pretty cool. But then after that, we get, of course, the Usos coming out and attacking KO and Sammy. They get the better of KO and Sammy, knock KO out, and hit the 1D on Sami Zayn. They hightail it out of the ring after that as KO comes back in the chair. Of course, you got to have the Usos get the upper hand here after what happened on Raw. So, not quite as great of a segment as what we had the week before, but still a really good segment and leading more towards the Bloodline potential downfall at WrestleMania, really. What would you rate SmackDown overall?
I give it about a 7.5.
What's your reasoning for a 7.5?
I feel like the build and everything was great, but I feel like they could have done a little more to set stuff up for the go home week before Mania. And I don't think they elevated to where they should be at this moment. That's why I bring it down from an 8 to a 7.5.
I'm going to say that's why I bring it down from an 8.5 to an 8. And also, the main part of that is that whole tag team match between Natalya and Shotzi against Riley and Lacey Evans, too. Brought that down a little bit. But I still feel like SmackDown has consistently, for the most part, stayed as the best wrestling program on TV over the last couple months, probably. Longer. Occasionally, Dynamite does better, but not very often. All right. Rampage, which actually aired last night because of NCAA March Madness basketball. Penta El Zero Miedo lost to Powerhouse Hobbs in the TNT title match. Not much worth mentioning there, other than after the match, Ray Phoenix came out with the bell hammer, kind of a ode back to their Death Triangle days as Pac's been out of action for a while. Brody King had a really good match against Jake Hager and beat Jake Hager. Match between two hosses there. Towards the end of the match, Anna Jay actually came out and attacked Julia Hart. So definitely seeing things are still going in the direction of the House of Black against Jericho Appreciation Society going forward. So I was happy to see Brody King pick up the win anyway. Layla Gray would get beat by Taya Valkyrie in a pretty quick match. And then after the match, Smart Mark Sterling got in the ring and was trying to berate Taya Valkyrie, really, because he had gotten a cease and desist note for her because he's a lawyer that she's not supposed to use the jaded, if you will, because this Taya Valkyrie uses that same finisher. It's like a lamb selling people. And Taya ended up hitting that move on Mark Sterling as well, specifically. So, I mean, don't need a lawyer anyway. I don't even remember what she calls it. I know Taya calls it something different. And then in the main event, you had the Acclaimed beating the Kingdom. Matt Menard and Angela Parker were on commentary, and you had Top Flight come out and face off Maria at one point. It was the typical Acclaimed match for the most part. Nothing great. Nothing that stood out. All right. Yeah, I don't care about rating Rampage. It's just the last show of the week on TV. So, well then, as mentioned earlier, this is WrestleMania week, now that it's Sunday. anybody who's wondering or out of the loop, I do plan on doing an NXT Stand and Deliver / WrestleMania prediction show this upcoming Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I do believe I might have mentioned this before in a previous episode, but if I hadn't, now you hear it. I don't know if you were available, John, or not, but that's pretty much going to be the best time to do it. Leading up to SmackDown, and got SmackDown Friday night. They got the Hall of Fame immediately following SmackDown. Saturday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time is NXT Stand and Deliver. 1 o'clock Eastern time is WrestleMania Saturday. Sunday, WrestleMania Sunday. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do all of WrestleMania in the one prediction show, or if we might do kind of a recap and WrestleMania prediction show on Sunday earlier in the day before WrestleMania. I might do it that way. So we'll just do half of our predictions for WrestleMania night 1 on Friday night.
Makes sense. Especially if someone else joins in, you know how he likes to.
Yeah, well, we'll see. That if he watches this at any point, or anybody else that wants to join in that has their opinions and want to give predictions or whatever, then more the merrier. To an extent, anyway.
We'll also have Eddie from the Bronx for that.
That's good. I always enjoy hearing Eddie's take on things too. So, as for the review show, I don't know if I'll try to fit one in next Monday, maybe, but if not, then we might just hold off and kind of do 2-week fold again next week Sunday, or not next week Sunday, but the following Sunday in 2 weeks from today. If we do 3 days worth of WrestleMania prediction shows, again, we can do kind of a recap of WrestleMania, at least night 1, before we get into our predictions for WrestleMania night 2 as well. So there's all that. Of course, after WrestleMania, you got Raw after Mania the night after, which is usually a pretty big deal as well. So we'll see what goes on. It's going to be a fun week in wrestling. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Do you think there'll be one more person, or do you think there'll be a couple more people announced for the Hall of Fame this week?
I'm thinking at least 2. I think there'll be a mid-card wrestler or someone, and then there's got to be a tag team as well.
I was kind of thinking they'd probably do one on each, one on Raw, and then they'd announce the last one on SmackDown. If not, maybe on the bump, maybe, if they don't want to wait till SmackDown to announce it.
Right.
But I feel like there's got to be at least 2 more, because I can't see him just doing 4. Or 3, for that matter. There's got to be at least a 4th. But the tag team for sure, because they've been doing tag teams lately. Who the tag team will be, I don't know.
I was about to ask, who do you think it'd be?
LA. That is tough. I mean, it got the Steiner brothers winning last year. We had Harlem Heat go in recently.
Bushwhackers are already in.
Yep.
Has Demolition gone in?
They have not. That has been one thing. I do know certain people have been saying they want the Quebec, not the Quebecers, the Rougeau brothers. Sorry, I'm butchering that, but they want the Rougeau brothers to go in there. But that certain people include Hulk Hogan, and well, he's Hulk Hogan, so. But we'll see.
It was one of the Rougeau brothers, the Mountie?
Yes. That
with
was
the
Jacques
stupidest
Rougeau.
entry song.
I'm the Mountie.
Da, 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 da.
I'm that fun, Jess. All right. That's the one we should have. No, there we go. That's for next time.
I feel like Demolition is the big one. I feel like should go in. You would think at least.
You mentioned Shinsuke Nakamura earlier. He was not even shown for that Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal next week. I'm almost wondering if there's an injury there that we don't know about.
Maybe.
Let's see. Anyway.
So, is it going to be Conan inducting Ray?
That's what I heard possibly could be happening. But
I've also heard Chavo.
Oh, yeah? I hadn't heard that one. Last I knew, there was still something up in the air as to whether or not Conan was going to be able to do it. But he's wanting to do it, I guess. So, we'll see.
It would make sense for it to be Chavo because Chavo and Ray inducted Eddie. So with Ray going in, what better way than just have Chavo do it?
Right. I know Vicky Guerrero, when I recorded saying that she wishes she was in WWE so she could have been part of this whole storyline right now too. The Ray and Dominic one. Which she is going to be leaving AEW when her contract expires this summer in July. But that don't mean they're going to bring her back to WWE right away anyways. There's that. All right. So,
Gangrel to the Hall of Fame.
Possibly. I mean, if they're going to fly him in for WrestleMania anyway.
I mean, it'd fit.
Right? And Rey Mysterio, for the record, will just become the third person to ever be inducted in the Hall of Fame while still being an active competitor. I want to mention one more thing, though, before we go off the air here. A certain individual's contract with WWE did expire this past week as well.
Are we thinking the same person?
Well, he's one of those three that got inducted in the Hall of Fame while still being an active competitor. And it's not Ric Flair.
I think we are then.
Goldberg.
You're next.
And supposedly, Tony Khan said that he wouldn't mind bringing Goldberg into AEW too. So,
MJF, you're next.
I could see it, but I'm thinking what actually is going to happen with MJF next is a fatal 4-way match between the 4 pillars, but we'll see. At Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
But Goldberg potentially show up somewhere at some point in time now that he's not part of WWE. So
just thought another tag team.
What's that?
The Hollies.
Oh, Hardcore and Crash.
Or Deuce or who's Deuce and
Domino?
Yeah.
Really?
Just trying to think tag teams in that era that it would be.
I would go with Paul London and Brian Kendrick before Deuce and Domino. I mean, they are tag team, longest reigning SmackDown tag team champions. No. Well, third.
I got it. One might be dead, but one is still alive. It's just too cool.
Well, I mean, could do the 3 of them and have Rikishi there too.
I mean, Rikishi could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Is Rikishi technically in as Fatu?
I think he's just in as Rikishi.
Okay. I don't know if the Head Shrinkers went in or not. Oh, there's another one.
Head Shrinkers / Wild Samoans.
Yeah.
Because they were the Wild Samoans first. But I don't think they went in either way yet. I mean, Fatu was rumored to be coming to Raw 30 when it was originally supposed to be all for Roman, but so they could potentially do that. I mean, it is a huge weekend for the Bloodline, really.
I'm just waiting for the day that Triple H finally gets in by himself.
From what I heard, Kevin Nash has said that Hunter won't allow that to happen right now. He just feels like that.
There's more deserving people.
Yeah, pretty much. He went in as DX, but he just doesn't feel like he's should go in by himself right now. Which I guess I could get in a way, but he doesn't want to put himself over, I guess.
Isn't he in as DX and Evolution?
No, Evolution hasn't been inducted yet.
Okay.
Because that'll be Ric Flair's 4th?
Because he's in by himself. Not DX.
4 Horsemen.
4 Horsemen.
Maybe it'll be his 3rd. I was thinking there was a 3rd already. Yeah, I guess that would be the 3rd. In by himself, and he's in as the Horseman.
I thought he was in there again as well.
Let's see.
Oh, I know who it's going to be. Spirit Squad.
Who? Funny thing would be if you were right, we'd be able to. What?
And then
I mean, one member of
the
squad. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, members of the Spirit Squad are still in WWE, so.
Right. Where there's 2 still in?
Only one of them wrestles. That's it. Huh?
Who else is in? Who's the one that doesn't wrestle?
Kenny.
Oh, he's still with the company?
Kenny.
Little Dykstra?
Yeah, he's a backstage agent. They showed him on TV quite often when they have the pull apart brawls lately.
Oh, I don't pay attention. I don't pay attention
Obviously,
to people I don't realize.
He looks a little bit different, but.
Breaking news: J&J Security going to health.
Joey Noble and Joey Mercury. I think Joey would probably go in as part of Eminem first.
Yeah. Is Jim Cornette in yet?
You're funny. No, he's not in all of it. I don't see him anytime soon.
They haven't named a female going in yet.
That's true. So maybe they won't do
another male superstar, a female, and a tag team. That'd give them 6
or maybe
nominees.
just a female in tag team. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Kid Rock.
If it's a female, it's pretty obvious who it should be.
Who do you think?
It should be Miss Elizabeth.
Should be, but honestly, there was rumors of somebody else.
Would that be the luxurious legs and Stacy Keibler?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to be pissed if it's her. I think there should be other people.
Yeah, I agree.
The only good thing that she's known for is George Clooney.
She just recently showed back up on Twitter and posted that she's been away because she's been a mom and a wife lately, and she's got like 3 kids now. So that kind of makes me think, yeah, that she's going to be the one going in the fame this year since she just put up on Twitter again.
Maybe it's someone important that'll go in. Like Michelle McCool.
Someone important?
I mean, I could see it. She's got the right.
She would deserve it.
Yeah. And I would hope they would actually put her in and not her and Layla in with Lay Cool.
Right. I mean, maybe eventually Lake will, but Rock and Roll Express in the Von Erichs. Oh, I guess no, it wasn't the Wild Samoans then. What were they known as?
Head Shrinkers?
Yeah, but they're known. Oh,
the Islanders.
Yeah, I think so. The something SWAT squad too. I think at one point, Samoan SWAT squad or something along those lines. But Paul Heyman used to manage them, Rikishi and Samu and WCW before they came into WWE as the Head Shrinkers. Anyway, a lot of Samoans were Afa and Sika. They are in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, Afa and Sika. Roman's daddy.
Yep. Aren't they? What do that for? I'm on WWE's page looking at the Hall of Fame section, so that's why I thought that. Like, yeah, that's right. Oh. There's so many people that are in, but there's yet so many people that deserve to be in that haven't been in.
I mean, there's a stable I think that really should go in because they're great in WCW and they were still good when they switched to WWE. The only reason I don't think they'll go in is because of the ties to Chris Benoit, and that's the Radicals.
Radicals, yeah. I mean, they could do it as the three of them, but you only have two of them that can talk for it. But
so do it as Eddie, Dean, and Terry.
Yeah. I mean, really, if you look at it, those three did make a big impact when they moved over from WCW to WWE. So,
and then have Terry Runnels
those four, rather. Good. She got the history with Terry.
See, the tag team that needs to go in, but will never go in because they don't want it, is the Hardy Boys.
They'll go in eventually. I'll guarantee that.
I mean, they're one of the greatest tag teams.
They are. I mean, I think personally that the Hardys probably will go in before Edge and Christian as a team goes in.
Oh, for sure.
So
Dudley Boys are in, right?
Yes. Because they had the whole TLC, had the three teams together at their Hall of Fame speech. But I don't see Christian leaving AEW right away anytime soon for that. But I could see Matt and Jeff leaving for a Hall of Fame induction at some point sooner than later. Because Matt's gone on record even saying that he feels like that's what they need to do is go and get inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Trying to think of wrestlers from like the 90s and early 2000s that made the huge impact that aren't in Hall of Fame that should be. I know there's quite a few.
Yeah. Oh. We'll see. See if they announce anybody. Could be somebody that we're not even thinking of. Who knows?
It's possible.
Right? All right. Midnight Express. Oh. All right. Well, I think we'll end this and turn this part off anyways. Anybody that's watching, come and watch us this weekend, this Friday night, at least at 6. We'll have our prediction show for NXT Stand and Deliver and WrestleMania Night 1.